We've spent considerable time over the past few days looking at the politics of small boat crossings on the channel and also the policy. We're going to spend a bit of time now trying to understand the experience of those who rescue the desperate souls in those boats. Charles Blyth is the safety officer at Oceanic Drifter Fishing. That's the company which owned the trawler that saved people at sea on Wednesday morning. He's also head of safety for the National Federation of Fishermen's Organisation and joins us now. Charles, good morning.
Good morning, Amal.
Thanks so much for giving up a bit of time this morning. I know you're very, very busy. Can we just talk through, please, what actually happened 24 hours ago? So one of your boats is out. There's 5 crew members on one of those boats in the channel. They hear some shouting. What happened next?
Yeah, sure. So the vessel was about 30 miles into the channel at the time. The skipper was asleep and the first mate was on watch. I think it was just by sheer coincidence that our vessel was in the right place at the right time to initiate a rescue. As soon as the first mate saw the casualty vessel, the alarm was raised. The skipper was out of bed and the Coast Guard was contacted simultaneously whilst the dinghy was brought alongside the fishing vessel. They were the first on the scene and they immediately started trying to recover all of the individuals out of the water. I believe soon after the rescue was initiated, there were other resources on the scene from the RNLI and the Navy.
So, I mean, I forgive my profound ignorance of how these things happen, having never been on the channel at that time. But just to be really clear, it's virtually pitch black. It's very, very, very cold. They shout Mayday. There must be scenes of huge distress and huge amounts of shouting and commotion as these people on this dinghy realise that there is actually suddenly hope that they're going to get rescued.
Yes, absolutely. And I believe as soon as the individuals on that dinghy saw the fishing vessel, many of them started to jump off and swim towards our fishing vessel. I must stress how much of a dangerous environment that is. At the time, our vessel was engaged in fishing and she is a scallop dredger. So I am aware the skipper immediately brought the gear up to the waterline to improve the manoeuvrability of our vessel and also provide some sort of platform for these individuals to hang on to whilst we try to recover them onto board the vessel.
And I hear that your crew were very quick to try and give away all their clothes to try and warm some of these people up because they must be suffering from tremendous shock and possibly hypothermia.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot stress how immensely proud we are of the actions of our crew. Without any thought given, they distributed every piece of dry clothing they had on board the vessel. As we also train our crew in casualty care for man overboard situations. So I believe every rescued individual was put in a lukewarm shower. It's very important not to put them in too much of a heat differential, as that can create a heart attack and other conditions similar to that. They were then provided with dry clothing, hot drinks, hot food, and were advised to huddle together within the bunks of our crew members, so their beds, to try and conserve heat. So I think every single action of our crew was just impeccable and was absolutely spot on.
As you see it, if they save lives?
Absolutely. They are directly responsible for 31 lives being saved. And my hats absolutely go off to them. I'm in shock, to be honest, with what they've managed to achieve.
Well, we can hear the pride in your voice, Charles. I mean, for obvious reasons, we've tried on this programme, elsewhere on the BBC, lots of journalists tried to understand the experience of the people going through these crossings, the unimaginable, really, experiences of these people. Just tell us about the emotional toll on your people, the emotional toll on these fishermen, because they must go out with a sense of profound dread that they're going to come across these desperate people, these dinghies, but also knowing that if they do, then they're going to have to intervene.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I think it's clear when I look back on history that fishermen throughout hundreds of years have been the main guardians of our seas, and at any point they will drop everything they are doing to help any other seafarer or anybody in the water to try and keep them alive. After speaking to the crew, I think they're still, to an extent, in a state of shock. and they purely just describe the whole event as surreal and almost something out of a movie. I don't think it's quite sunk in yet, and that is something as a company we're keeping a close eye on. That once the adrenaline wears out, the real effect on these on our crew may come out. So,
and something, Charles, that some people may not be aware of is these these fishermen, these crew, go out for several days at a time. So many of them are still out at sea. I mean, when are they going to be coming back? And they've got to be out at sea because they need the money.
Yeah, definitely. So the way fishing works is the crew are normally rewarded based on a percentage of the catch. So firstly, they've taken time out to do that rescue. Although that has cost them money, they don't care about that. However, they have, at their own will, decided to go back out to sea for a final trip before Christmas, as they obviously have mouths to feed and bills to pay. So that was completely at their own intention, and we are in regular contact with the vessel just to make sure everyone is doing well and are fine. After that final trip, the vessel will return to its home port in Plymouth, where we'll be on hand to provide pastoral care, replenishment of provisions, and anything else that crew may request or require.
And just finally, Charles, what do your fishermen make of the fact that they're out there to catch fish or scallops, as you say, and they're in fact saving lives? I mean, what an extraordinary turn of events for them.
I know, and in fact, it's not the first time that this vessel has provided direct assistance to these individuals crossing the channel. I do note earlier in the year the vessel distributed a significant quantity of water and other provisions to a dinghy they saw floating in the channel, and directed additional support to that dinghy.
Right.
So I hate to say it, but it's almost becoming part of the job when they are fishing in the channel to be aware of these crossings and to be on hand should they ever feel they need to provide assistance. I must stress it is not their primary role, but
of course.
As I've said, I believe any fisherman I've ever met will drop everything to try and save a life at sea. I think it's clear in any seafarer, safety of life at sea is paramount.
Yeah. Charles Blyth from Oceanic Drifter Fishing and the National Federation of Fishermen. Thanks so much.